loud. We are recording. I'm going to share my video or share my screen. Make sure we are all set. I'm going to go to the first slide. I'm starting this off until it gets to you. And yeah, so we'll go. Worst case, what we can do is we can like pause the recording if we mess up and then restart. And I think that will be better if we have to like chop this up or like something.
Yeah, and I can see if Zach can help us with like the small edits too if we need to.
Okay. Because I'll be on the road, girl. I might not get back until like midnight. So
gosh, yeah, let's get pushing.
Okay, so let me present. All right.
I need to stop laughing. Like
I know. Oh Lord.
Like as soon as we start, I want to laugh.
Okay.
I'm just like not gonna look at you because for some reason it's just like
yeah, no, I can't look at you. So I'm gonna look straight at the screen or at the camera. Wait, do I say hello, everyone? Yeah, hello, because I don't know if this is gonna be morning or afternoon.
Yeah, just say like hi.
Okay. Hello, everyone. We are BRAID Rowing. BRAID standing for Black Rowers, Amplifying Inclusion and Diversity. We are so excited to be with you all today and to share a little bit about who we are and give you guys a little bit more knowledge about what rowing is and why representation in the sport is so vital. For our order of events today, we'll have our introductions first. We'll give you guys a little bit more knowledge about the sport of rowing. We'll share with you the benefits of rowing, share a little bit about our lives as student athletes and how we overcome challenges and overcome the adversities that are presented to us day in and day out. We'll share our story about BRAID, how it came to fruition, why we created this phenomenal organization. We will share how you all can help us make an impact and share a little bit about BRAID's initiatives and our vision and our goals for the organization as we continue to grow. And then our final thoughts and a little bit of a call to action on how we can all continue to push the needle of diversity and equity and inclusion forward together. So to begin with our introductions, my name is Amari Randall. This is actually the full board. Amari Randall, which is myself. We have Baylor Henry, which is one of our executive board members. Joy Neal, who is with us today as well, who is one of our co-founders. And Olima DeSarmas is one of our executive board members as well. So a little bit more about myself. Again, I am Amari Randall. I'm currently a junior at the University of Delaware. My major is civil engineering. I actually started rowing in college. So I started the fall of my freshman year, which is fall of 2022 at Clemson University. I transferred last summer to the University of Delaware through the NCAA transfer portal, which we'll get into a little bit later. And a fun fact about me, I absolutely love arts and crafts, y'all. All things DIY, that's me. And then I owned a custom duct tape pen business for about 4 to 5 years, starting in, I think, 3rd grade. So y'all, I have the heart and the mind of an entrepreneur. I like making some money. So any opportunity to continue to make that capital, yeah, hit me up. And then we have Baylor Henry with one of our executive board members. She's not here with us today, but she's absolutely phenomenal. She is a senior at Drexel University, where she studies marketing with a minor in graphic design. She began rowing in 2017, so she's almost a decade into this, y'all. So she is seasoned, and she has remained committed to the sport ever since. A fun fact about Baylor is that she creates most of her food products from scratch. So we're talking butters, jams, biscuits, bread, even her detergent. So she's the for real DIY queen. I just play around a little bit, but she's for real about it.
All right, my name is Joy. I am a junior at Clemson University. My major is sociology, and I also have a minor in criminal justice. I started rowing in 2018 as a freshman in high school, and then I committed to row at Clemson. A little fun fact about me is that I love theater and I love art. In high school, I was in our advanced studio as well. And then our last member who is not with us today is Alima. She is a senior at Syracuse University. She's majoring in psychology. She started her rowing journey as a sophomore in college at Syracuse. She was a walk-on. And a little fun fact about her is that she's an accomplished writer and a state finalist for her essay, Inequity in the Pandemic, the Inhumane Injustice of Society. And she's also a big lifter. She recently hit a big PR, a 245-pound front squat. Yes.
Absolutely amazing.
So now we're going to introduce you to the sport of rowing, tell you about the ins and outs, and just a little bit about what we do every day. So first, these are the different boat classes. So on the top, you have the single. This is what we call the 1X. You have a double, which is called the 2X, and you have a quad, which is called the 4X. So both of these, all three of these boats, you have 2 oars. This is what we call sculling. And then on the bottom row, we have the pair, which is the 2 minus, the 4, which is a 4 minus, and an 8 plus, which these are all sweeping boats, and each person has 1 oar. So next, moving into positions. So in the back of the boat, you have seat 1, which is the bow. And then all the way up to seat 3, seat 4, seat 5, seat 6, 7, and then 8 seat, which we also call the stroke seat. And then you have the coxswain, who is typically, they're usually a smaller person they sit in the boat, they steer, they're kind of like our onboard coxswain, our onboard coach. They are yelling at us, they are calling moves, they're telling us like where we are in relation to other boats. They're kind of like the whole package. They kind of keep us all together. So next, this is a little bit more of like what each seat does. So 1 and 2 are called the bow pair. Remember, seat 1 is also just called bow seat as well. These seats are very vital with helping the coxswain steer, which again, that's the number 9 in this picture. Seats 3 through 6 are what we call the engine room. These are typically the strongest people in the boat. And then 7 and 8 are called the stern pair. And again, remember 8 is also called the stroke seat. So now we have a little bit more of like what the parts of the boat are. So 1 in this picture is the bow ball. 2 is the bow deck. So again, this is kind of where bow seat sits. The bow ball kind of just protects the boat from like hitting anything, getting damaged. And then 3, we have the tracks. It's a little bit hard to see on this picture, but we actually sit on seats that kind of move back and forth. So number 4 is the seat. So the seat sits on tracks and it rolls back and forth as we row. Number 5 is the rigger. It's a metal bar that sticks out on the side of the boat. This is what we put the oar in, and it helps just basically anchors the oar to the boat. The oar lock is what keeps the oar inside of the rigger. It kind of opens like a gate. You twist it, it stays shut the whole time. 7 is the oar. That's, what we row with. And then 8 is the stern. So now here are some pictures in action that we have of us rowing. This top left picture is a 4, bottom left is a pair, and then on the right we have an 8.
All right, and so now to get into some benefits of rowing. I know y'all have been in the gym and y'all have seen that rowing machine and looked at it and been like, no, thank you. I don't want any parts of that. And sometimes y'all, we don't even want any parts of it. Practice be kicking our butts. But there are so many amazing benefits to utilizing that rowing machine, or even if you ever have the opportunity to get on the water and actually get in a boat. It's an amazing exercise, physically, mentally, all those great things. So to get into the physical benefits, it definitely builds your strength and endurance and just your overall physical health. It's a full body workout. Rowing engages 86% of the body's muscles. So that's literally only 14% is left out, y'all. So it's building strength, building your power, building your endurance. It's also great for our cardiovascular health. And we know that's something that's super important in the Black community, and it's in and of itself. So the repetitive and low impact motion improves our heart health, our lung capacity, and our overall stamina, which is phenomenal. It's very joint friendly too, so we're able to combat the joint tightness or joint stiffness that may come with age or with lack of movement. It's unlike the high impact sports. Rowing protects our joints while still providing a very, very intense workout. It will be a shock to the system, y'all. I'm not even gonna lie to you, but it'll be a phenomenal physical workout. And on the mental and emotional benefits side, it builds your confidence. You will become resilient, and it's a sport that requires a lot of focus. You have to be mentally tough, and if you're not, it does give you that opportunity to grow in the realm of mental toughness. It's going to push you beyond your limits, teach you perseverance in the face of adversity. And that's a lesson that extends beyond the boat. Rowing is definitely one of those sports where the lessons that you learn on the water will translate and transcend through life in the classroom for us, in careers. It's very beneficial. And the mind and body connection, the sport requires you to be present, requires you to be precise, requires you to be in control, and it helps you develop discipline and mindfulness, and empowers you to achieve. It allows you to experience victory, allows you to be and embrace championship, that championship mentality, or just the feeling of winning. Every stroke, all of our PRs, all the race wins, they reinforce that you are capable, you are strong, and you are worthy. And here at BRAID, that's our motto. You belong, you're invaluable, and together we row. So that's exactly what the sport does for you. And a few more benefits. It allows you to step into a community and experience. Currently, we know that there's a lack of representation in the sport, but that's what we're working to combat. And so it allows you to find sisterhood and support. And we wanted to give a shout out to our sisters and our brothers at Zula at Xavier University in Louisiana. They are a groundbreaking and dynamic addition to the collegiate rowing scene, as they're the second HBCU in the United States to sponsor a varsity rowing program. And their club is not just about sports, it's about making history. So they are out here breaking barriers and doing amazing things. And touching on that breaking barrier side, Black women remain underrepresented in this sport, Black men and women actually, making a very new rower a trailblazer for future generations. Mm-hmm. And then the sisterhood in the boat. Rowing fosters unbreakable bonds, treating or teaching us trust and teamwork and shared success, which is absolutely phenomenal. Mm-hmm. And then life lessons beyond the boat, as I mentioned earlier. Rowing, it touches on leadership and discipline. Discipline is so important in this sport, y'all. And rowing instills qualities that translate into career success and personal growth. With handling adversity, it teaches you to push through challenges on the water that build resilience and applies to all aspects of your life outside of the water. And it expands opportunities from collegiate scholarships to networking. Rowing opens so many doors that you would have never thought would be possible. And Joy and I can attest to those. The opportunities, the people that we've met, the things that we've been able to experience because of this sport are unmatched.
Yeah. Okay, so now a little bit more into like student life and overcoming challenges. So firstly, I'm going to talk about just balancing it all. You know, it takes a lot, like Amari said, a lot of discipline, but you know, it's definitely manageable, balancing, you know, rowing, academics, if you're in clubs, or, you know, seeing your friends, seeing your family, like, but there's a lot of tips and different things that you can do to help with that. So firstly, just talking a little bit more about like time management. Something I like to do is like really just write down and prioritize my tasks, you know, write down like what's urgent, what's super important, or, you know, maybe some things that I can get done kind of quickly. And then also like using a planner or using a calendar. and really just like setting goals, but making sure they're also like realistic goals. That way you're not like getting in over yourself because you may have missed like a deadline that you made. So next, handling stress and avoiding burnout. Firstly, just being able to recognize the early signs of burnout, like fatigue, irritability, wanting to like quit your job or your sport. Those kind of things are, first signs of burnout. And some things you can do to help with that is self-care. I think that that's the biggest thing, getting the proper sleep you need, getting proper nutrition, taking a walk or like hanging out with friends, those kind of things help like tremendously. And then also like just setting boundaries between work and rest, making sure you're setting like an end time of work every night. Maybe that's like 8 o'clock, maybe that's 9 o'clock, but making sure you're really prioritizing that time to yourself. And then also just like making sure you're not overworking yourself, making sure you're taking time away from that. And then also using stress relief techniques, whether that's meditation, deep breathing, going on walks, whatever works for you. And then the importance of rest and recovery. I think for me, like learning how to properly recover, honestly, like within the last year has changed so much for me. Learning how to get the proper amount of sleep, and then also just staying hydrated, eating well, learning how to listen to your body.
And even to add to that, I think changing the perspective of what rest is and looking at it not
Yeah.
as like a reward for the work that you've done, but a necessary part
Requirements.
of the work that you're doing. Like you can't continue to exert yourself without resting.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then overcoming challenges. I think challenges comes with everything in life. It's something that's normal. Specifically with athletes and with rowing, injuries is a big thing that athletes have to face. And it really can set you back, but there are some things you can do to kind of help with that. I've kind of had to learn these things recently, which I will talk about a little bit later, but learning how to stay mentally strong and maintaining a positive mindset can help with that. Following recovery protocols and adjusting your training, being able to seek support from coaches, teammates, peers, mentors, etc. And then reflecting on setbacks as learning opportunities, which again is something that you can take like outside of athletics as well. Being underrepresented, as we know, again, Black women, Black rowers in general are just very underrepresented. And being able to acknowledge these unique challenges and experiences definitely helps, and learning how to build a community like we're doing here with BRAID, and just having a supportive network of people around you can really help with that. Being able to share your story and hearing others people's stories can help you feel like you're not like alone or going through this like unique process, but that it's really something that like a story that we all share. And then also learning how to, or also having role models and finding mentorship opportunities. And then lastly, learning how to advocate for yourself, learning how to speak up about your needs, your boundaries, finding those allies, finding those mentors that can help you get through these things, and documenting your accomplishments and building a strong and supportive network. And so, why is community so important? Why is that such a word that, we keep bringing up, keep hearing? Here at BRAID, we know it's essential for Black girls to have community just because the sport can be like, it's just so isolating. But through that mentorship, through that support and that visibility, we're starting to change that. We've already made like an impact by connecting rowers who understand each other's experiences, provide guidance, and we're really creating a space where they can feel seen and empowered. By building these connections, we're not just like increasing representation, but we're also ensuring that the next generation of Black girls in rowing knows that they can belong and thrive. And then also, rowing is more than just a sport. You gained so many lessons from rowing that can be applied beyond sports. Things like leadership, perseverance, teamwork, goal setting, all things that you can take beyond your time in athletics. So next we are going to talk a little bit more about the story of BRAID, our stories, how this all kind of came to be. So I'm going to start with my story. Like I said before, I started rowing freshman year of high school, rowed 4 years in high school, and then I started my recruiting process around junior year of high school, committed to Clemson. And then I got to race a little bit my freshman year and a little bit more about that adversity I was talking about. Sophomore year, I ended up getting COVID in the fall, which kind of set me back a little bit. I have already had diagnosed asthma before that. But then after COVID, it kind of flared up. I ended up getting COVID 2 more times. Once again, my spring of sophomore year, and then again, fall of this year, my junior year. So just learning how to overcome that, learning how to really like listen to my body and know when to continue to push myself or know when to pull back, know when, I need to speak up to our athletic trainers, those kind of things are all the lessons that I've been able to take away from these last 2 years. And I think that, specifically with starting BRAID in the fall, I was struggling a lot just because there are really no other girls on my team that look like me. Before this year, there was 3 of us, and there's 4 of us. 2 of them graduated, and Amari started off with me at Clemson, and then she transferred to Delaware. She left me all by myself, guys. Like, it's fine though. I'm over it. But it definitely was hard being here and feeling definitely more isolated after that. It's a conversation I've had like with my coaches who thankfully have been really supportive. And they're working on different things with recruiting and learning to be allies themselves. But, I was feeling a lack of community. And so I was reaching out to Amari. We started talking. We'll talk more about how BRAID actually formed, but that's kind of my why into starting BRAID, why I wanted to see a community like this. So that's just a little bit about me, my journey with rowing, and I'm going to pass it off to Amari to talk about her journey.
Yeah, so I did not row at all. Didn't even was never in a boat, never touched an oar before I walked onto the campus of Clemson my freshman year, which was fall of 2022. I was a competitive swimmer previously, so coming from yet another predominantly white sport. But I think we got an email saying that they were having rowing tryouts, and I knew I always wanted to be a Division I athlete, but I had made the decision that I didn't want to swim collegiately, probably I think like my senior year of college. And so I was like, I don't know how I'm going to continue to incorporate like that athletic aspect. I thought about club swimming, but then once I got this opportunity, I was like, hey, they said you needed to be athletic and you needed to be competitive. And one thing I like to do is compete and I like to win. So I was like, hey, I think you're saying my name. And so I tried out and was able to walk onto the team, which was just an amazing blessing. And so that was kind of after that, the ball just kept on rolling. We were not necessarily, I wouldn't say thrown into boats, but we were thrown right into the mix. And so you just kind of had to learn and go with the flow. And so I was blessed to compete the spring of my freshman year at ACC's, being an ACC boat, which was absolutely amazing. I took the summer after my freshman year to really be like, hey, like I'm not too far away from like the fastest girls on the team. They've been doing this a little bit longer than me, but they're still, I can see them. They're in the distance, but they're reachable. So I was like, let me grind, come back, and just see what happens. And so my sophomore year, I feel like I was able to grow even more. And then coming into the spring of my sophomore year, Clemson was absolutely amazing to me. Of course, I'm so blessed that they allowed me the opportunity to get into the sport. But I started to think about like, do I want to row post college and what will set me up for success best. So I started thinking, like, do I want to stay here at Clemson, or do I want to see what other opportunities lie outside of Clemson? And so ultimately I decided to take the leap of faith and enter the transfer portal in the summer after my sophomore year. And I landed here at Delaware. And so now I have the privilege and honor of rowing under the only Black and female head rowing coach in the NCAA, Coach Asia Mahmood. And so it's been absolutely amazing with the resources that she has, the expertise that she has, and just how she has supported me and just like taken me under her wing and been like, okay, if you share a goal with me, like this is our goal, we're going to work at this together. So rowing has been absolutely amazing to me. I have goals and aspirations of possibly rowing post college and pursuing like the national team pipeline. So we'll see how that goes. But it's been just a blessing. A blessing is probably not even enough to describe what rowing has been to me. But for lack of better terms, at the moment, it has been an absolute blessing to me. And so we talked about our own personal stories, and they kind of touch on how we got into BRAID, but just an overall overview of what BRAID is. Earlier, when we started the presentation, we said we are Black Rowers Amplifying Inclusion and Diversity, and that is exactly what BRAID stands for. But we are founded in response to hearing so many experiences of Black rowers facing challenges in the sport, whether that be microaggressions, battling imposter syndrome, or battling just blatant racism. And the thing that we want to let you guys know, of course, we're targeting these things in the sport of rowing, but as you all know, these are things that we face as Black women day in and day out in any space that we're in. Feeling like we're inadequate. Well, I wouldn't even say inadequate, but feeling like we don't belong in a space, even though we're most of the time overqualified to be in that space.
Right.
Feeling that we're not valued in the space, or facing those nitpicky comments about our hair or things like that. So we're targeting them in the rowing space, but these principles and just our mission can definitely be applied to the broader world in everyday life of us as Black women. And so our purpose is to build a community where athletes feel seen, where we feel celebrated and are celebrated, and we are supported.
So next, our mission, again, creating a safe, a supportive, and an empowering space for Black girl rowers. Our vision is a rowing community where Black athletes are seen, they're celebrated, they're supported, with a focus on breaking barriers and increasing representation. And then here are our 5 big goals. Number 1, like we said, building community. We're doing this through social media, through mentorship, and through our virtual monthly meetings. Number 2 is continuing to amplify representation, telling the stories of our girls in our group, having athlete spotlights, and again, sharing on social media, just pictures, just showing that Black girls are in this sport. 3, continuing to expand participation. We are trying to grow currently our high school outreach, and then continuing to just recruit in general. Number 4, fostering growth. We eventually want to get some training trips, some retreats, and some more in-person events. Obviously, we're all around the country, so this is a future goal for us. And lastly, broadening our reach, having a nationwide presence, and then, as Amari said, the pathways past collegiate rowing as well, into like national team. And so we have this quote that we kind of continue to remember as we are continuing this journey. Together, we're building a community where Black girl rowers belong, thrive, and shine. And let's make this space amazing for us and by us.
Yes. And so rowing, as we've mentioned, has long lacked the diversity it desperately needs. BRAID is here to change that narrative. We are empowering Black girl rowers to rise, to thrive, and to claim their space on and off the water. And so these numbers right here and demographics just give us a little bit of a glimpse at how rowing lacks diversity. So these 3 sports are the lowest and are historically known to be the least diverse sports in the NCAA. And so we have women's ice hockey here. And with their athletes, 75.9% of the athletes in women's ice hockey, according to the NCAA demographics, are white. Less than 1% are Black. And the head coaches, less than 1% of the head coaches in women's ice hockey are Black as well. With women's lacrosse, 83.4% of those athletes are white, 2.9% are Black, and then they have 2.7% of their head coaches being Black as well. And then for women's rowing, we have 73% of athletes are white, and then 2.3% of athletes are Black, and less than 1% of the head coaches in rowing are Black. So we have my coach Asia Mahmood, which is the only Black and female, and then we have one other Black male head rowing coach in the NCAA. And so to kind of touch on the women who have done amazing things, who have blazed trails, and who we look up to, and who have just kind of like changed the game in rowing for us. We have Miss Anita DeFrance and Miss Patricia Edom. So Anita DeFrance, she was born in 1952 in Philadelphia, and she's a pioneering athlete, lawyer, and Olympic leader. She discovered rowing at Connecticut College and later captained the U.S. women's rowing team, winning bronze at the 1976 Olympics. Despite qualifying for the 1980 Games, she was unable to compete due to the U.S. boycott and fought for athletes' rights. A six-time U.S. national champion, she transitioned into leadership, becoming the first African-American and first woman to represent the U.S. on the International Olympic Committee in 1986. She later became the IOC's first female vice president in 1997 and has dedicated her career to advancing gender equality and inclusion in sports, leading the LA84 Foundation for 28 years. She has championed youth athletics and Olympic legacy programs. Ms. DeFrance's unwavering advocacy has broken barriers for Black athletes and women in rowing, leaving an undeniable mark in all of the sports world. She is absolutely amazing. And as for Miss Edom, she is also a pioneering figure in American rowing. She discovered the sport at UC Berkeley in 1976 and quickly became a standout athlete. She earned Pac-10 and national champion titles before representing the U.S. in the 1980 and 1984 Olympics. Raised in Bellingham, Washington, with a strong athletic foundation from her parents, she found a sense of community and purpose in rowing. Her time at Berkeley shaped her values of humility, joy, and collective empowerment, which she continues to champion through advocacy and mentorship today. Her legacy is one of perseverance and excellence and paving the way for future athletes. So we celebrate and we honor these two wonderful women who have paved the way for us and inspire us to continue to do big things today.
All right. So now we're going to talk a little bit more about some of our initiatives and how we have already started to make an impact. So each month we close out on the last Sunday with a general body meeting. As you can see here, these are our different themes for each of the meeting. So January, we kind of started off the year with setting our intentions, and we did some vision board decorating. February, we just continued to highlight awesome trailblazers in Black history, and we did a panel discussion for our general body meeting. And then this month for March, Women's History Month, we are highlighting women who inspire us and continue to highlight the onlys. And so if there are any of these topics that you would be interested in speaking to our members about, we'll have our contact information at the end, and we would love to have you. Or if there's any other ideas you guys have you would like to bring to us, again, please reach out at any time. And so something else we are also doing is our athlete spotlights. Each month we choose a girl from a different team to highlight, share their story, and just continue to amplify representation. So our first spotlight was Bella. She is a rower at Duke University. She began her journey in middle school and she was inspired by her coach's encouragement. She celebrated a win at Stotesbury, and she also placed 7th in the Parrot Youth Nationals. And she also helped her collegiate team earn 3rd at ACCs. Her favorite memory is racing at Big Ten Invite in Sarasota with her best friends. For her, BRAID is so needed. It's an uplifting space for Black women. And she lives by Romans 8:31, if God is for us, who can be against us? And just continue to trust her journey and stay on the course. So next we have Julia. She is a rower at Eastern Michigan University. She walked on to her team in 2022 with no prior experience, transitioning from cheerleading and tap dancing to this sport, which quickly became her passion. From earning her first varsity jacket to setting personal records on ERG tests, she embraces both the mental and physical growth that rowing demands. She's also majoring in criminology with a focus in juvenile justice. She hopes to advocate for at-risk youth using her studies to create positive change. Off the water, she is a true crime enthusiast and a fan of the Jerry Springer Show, and she lives by the quote, "Success is the sum of small efforts repeated day in and day out," which was said by Robert Collar. And so lastly, we have Lauren. She's a rower at UCLA, and she began rowing the summer before her junior year of high school and quickly made her mark. Her career highlights include placing 3rd at Head of the Charles Regatta in 2022 and her high school's first ever women's 4 entry. Also helping her varsity 8 podium at Youth Nationals in 2023 and competing in the rowing in color all Black women's 8 at Head of the Charles in 2024, which was a moment that truly affirmed her place in the sport. Lauren is passionate about diversity and representation in rowing, using her story to inspire and uplift other Black athletes. She believes in BRAID's mission and works to ensure that young Black women know that they belong in this space. Lauren approaches every challenge with resilience, guided by her favorite mantra, trust the process.
And as for our impact and our progress, so growth and community engagement, it's been looking like we've been focusing on expanding our network through our monthly general body meetings, just growing who attends, and we're so glad to say that we have seen a gradual increase since we had our first one in December of 2024. So it's been so exciting to see more and more people show out for those, be excited by them, and we believe that they will continue to grow bigger and bigger. And we actually will be speaking at the 2025 Black Student Athlete Summit. This year, we will be coming together in Chicago, which it's just a transformative opportunity and experience. I had the privilege of attending in 2023. And that one was in LA. And just to be amongst so many high achieving Black student athletes, Black faculty, and to hear from so many achieved and accomplished people is so encouraging, super duper inspiring, and transformative is just the word that continues to come to mind. Phenomenal experience indeed. So we're excited to be speakers there and to kind of share a little bit more about BRAID with a lot of other people to continue to grow our voice and grow our presence, and just build the awareness that the sport needs. And so as far as visibility and advocacy, we do have a partnership with US Rowing. So they have a United We Row DEI campaign that they started a few years ago, I believe in 2020. And so under that campaign, they have Shop for a Change, which goes from February to May. And so this year we are one of the organizations that they are highlighting. So that campaign is going on currently. And we have lots of future partnerships and possibilities in progress, which we won't spoil right now, but stay tuned as we continue to have those partnerships and announce those that we're so, so excited about. And we will continue to showcase our athlete spotlights to increase visibility. And again, this is a space where we want our athletes to be celebrated And that is exactly how we do it, by spotlighting those girls, whether they self-nominate themselves or we have people shouting them out, nominating them. We will continue to highlight and celebrate them and give them their flowers. And we will continue to increase dialogue surrounding diversity and inclusion, because these things can't change unless those uncomfortable conversations, but necessary conversations, are had. So we will continue to give those spaces, or create those spaces, so these conversations can have a platform and we'll be able to continue to move forward. So to conclude, rowing, as we know, is a sport that severely lacks diversity. Less than 2.35% of rowers and coaches, less than 1% of coaches are Black, which is unacceptable. So we want to continue to grow those numbers, make the deficit and the difference a little bit smaller, whether that's, and however we're doing that with getting more high school rowers, just getting more interest and making sure our rowers, once they start the sport, they get everything out of it that they can. And so we want to build that representation, and we understand that community is so important for the longevity of Black athletes, which is why we're creating this space. We want to change the narrative that this sport is not for athletes that don't look like us. We definitely do belong. This is a space where we will thrive when we have access to it. So it's so important to get us into it so that we can thrive and we can dominate. And we need you all's help. So we shared so much information, and we've reiterated that not only the lessons that we learn in rowing, they are so applicable to life as a whole. And so we shared the themes that we have for our general body meetings, our monthly meetings. And so we want resources. We want people to continue to sow into our community, and share expertise that they feel would be valuable to us. So that's where we need you all.
Yes, and so just a final thought, representation isn't just important, it's essential for the longevity and success of Black athletes in rowing. Together, we can break barriers, foster community, and ensure that this sport welcomes and celebrates everyone. Please join us in changing this narrative. And so just to close out, here is our slogan: you belong, you are invaluable, and together we row. And so this is our contact information. As Amari said, please reach out to us if you want to continue this conversation, if you have any resources for us to use, if you want to speak at any of our meetings, do any type of collabs of our social media, anything, please just reach out to us. Easiest way is to just find our Instagram. We have our link tree in our bio, where you can find all of our other resources as well. Our email, our website, all that is linked there. So we'll leave this up for a second.
Again, we're so excited and honored at possibly being able to collaborate with you all on future projects that will definitely uplift, empower, and make a lasting impact for Black women, not only in rowing, but everywhere. That is our goal. Mm-hmm. So we just want to say thank you so much. Again, we are BRAID, Black Rowers Amplifying Inclusion and Diversity. We would love to hear from you all further and continue this relationship and connection. And we just appreciate your time. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.